Wir starten jetzt einfach mal in das Webinar. Also nochmal herzlich willkommen zu unserem heutigen Webinar, was ja den Titel trägt, beschleunigte Digitalisierung im Bankensektor mit Low-Code. Wir brauchen immer einen Kunden, der uns bei diesen Webinaren inhaltlich und wirtschaftlich unterstützt. Das ist die Firma Mendix und Stefan Koch, der dort Enterprise Account Executive ist. Und glücklicherweise hat Mendix einen Kunden mitgebracht. Das ist immer gut, weil wir natürlich immer ganz gerne jemanden sehen aus der gleichen Kundenschaft sozusagen, um zu gucken, wie läuft denn das da. Und das ist heute die Firma ABN AMRO in den Niederlanden. Marc Buss ist der Referent heute, über 22 Jahre schon bei ABN AMRO. Und sein Titel passt, glaube ich, nicht auf eine Visitenkarte, denn er ist IT Capability Owner, Rapid Application Development and Scrum Product Owner auf Mendix Plattform. Also damit der ausgewiesene Experte heute hier für dieses Webinar. Also nochmal auf Englisch. Welcome to today's webinar on Low Code. Stefan Koch, Marc Buss. Viel Erfolg.
Ja, vielen Dank für die Einleitung. Wir haben heute das Seminar Beschleunigte Digitalisierung im Bankensektor mit Low-Code. Wir haben uns entschieden, das auf Englisch zu machen, unter anderem auch, weil wir heute Marc Buss hier mit dabei haben, der gerade eben vorgestellt worden ist, der im Anschluss an meine Präsentation dann vorstellt, wie die Umsetzung bei ABN AMRO gelaufen ist. Good morning. My name is Stefan Koch. I'm the Enterprise Account Executive here at Mendix. We have today the idea to show you how you can very quick empower your digitalization in the banking sector with low code. What we have done today, we have brought with us Marc Buss. He is our customer at ABN AMRO, and he will, after my presentation, give you an overview about the project we had on their side here. If we are talking today about digitalization, we must see how is the market today. So if we are looking in your area as well, and if you are in the business side, you have ideas how you can improve your customer experience, how you improve, for example, also with new applications, your operational system, and bring everything together here at this. So I will go forward here to see how the gap is at that point. And at the moment, we have the situation that in the supply area, if you are coming with a new idea and you want to bring new products in the market, you're coming to the point that we have here a backlog typically, and IT could not very quick respond on that. That is not because they don't want to do that, but there is a lot of information there, a lot of projects there, and our idea is how we can help you here to get quicker. One of the ideas is that we say, okay, we want to have software for everyone in the company, which means if everybody is able to understand how to build an application, how to work with that application, you can bring more business value and in your application here as well. So we have more background information internally, and then we combine that together with the knowledge we have in the IT area and helping to innovate that business here in a common way. That means the company is becoming more and more a software company itself, and the teams are working together in an agile way, which means if you have here more possibilities to work with more people on a project, your delivery time getting shorter. How we can do that? Mendix is explaining today that we can unlock your organization on a platform. That means the platform itself is gives you the opportunity to work together. We have an agile way how to do that. On your business side, you can bring your information about the application, how you want to work that on a no-code way. And you're working with the same tool as, for example, someone is working who is developing on the other side areas. The low-code approach itself is bringing information together to an application. That means people who are a little bit more knowing about the business here and also a little bit in the direction of understanding how business must work in the IT and applications are built using the low-code area here as well. This platform enables you, and we are the only one who can offer you that way, because we have one tool, one platform for all the teams we are showing here. We help you to get connected with the existing systems. For example, if you are talking today to SAP, we have a partnership with SAP, and we enable you here to make that happen. So that means on the SAP side, we can go forward and have a system which SAP itself is selling. So it's SAP RAD, Rapid Application Development. And it's 100% Mendix what you get here. So you can connect to your HANA, you can migrate to HANA, you can access data from SAP, and you bring them in application. But that's not the only one. So we are not pure SAP here, so we can connect also to your IBM system. For example, if you have Lotus Notes and you want to replace that, that's typically applications we are helping in the migration path to go forward here. We can deliver in any platform, in any cloud you have. So if you say our strategy today is to have everything in a private cloud, we can have our platform on that. If your decision is tomorrow you want to migrate to a public cloud, you can use the same applications and transfer them to a public cloud, and we support this. So we help you also to deliver all your applications to any app, to any device. That means if you have today any mobile devices, you want, for example, have an access for your customers, that they can have the application and they want to have their data in an application which you deliver, that is out of the box possible without any additional programming. So low code enables you here to go forward and to bring your business here forward as well. So what we can do is to bring your business, your interest, what you have with increasing revenue, with reduce your operational costs and improve your customer retention to be successful in applications. That can be starting with legacy migration up to areas where you say we need internal applications, for example, for product, for pricing, calculations. So you can go step by step and move that forward here as you like to do. So you can assist that in the financial service areas in many areas. That means if we are looking where we are fitting typically today with applications, that is in that areas we are showing you here. That can be in the brokerage area where you build applications, but it can also be on other areas where you say we need a special application, for example, to get rid of our Excel files, to get rid of manual calculations. We want to build something to see when people must work on, for example, on a Saturday, or how to bring areas together if you have branches outside, how to calculate, especially in COVID times, how many people must be there at one time. And if you see all of that, you are very flexible here with our platform to bring that in your area, and you can very quick build here applications as well. You must not do everything from scratch. So what we have built a financial service marketplace, and you can find it on our website, where we have additional templates, and I would see it as a template, as a starting template where you can say, we want something for customer onboarding. Okay, we have here a template where we can start with. Or you want to have a native banking app, you can start here as well. So, and we are adding more and more value here in this area as well. If you want to know where we are positioned today in the low-code market, if you ask Gartner and Forrester, they see us in the right up corner, where they say Mendix is the leading area or the leading vendor here at that point who is offering you low-code. And we are very proud about that because that's since 3 years now. And if you're looking for customers we have today, so we have just examples here. So we have a broad range of customers who are using our platform to get successful, to build based on the Mendix platform, the new applications here on top of that. Why we are so powerful and engaged. Mendix is today part of a Siemens organization. So we started in 2005 with the vision to have a low-code platform. In 2018, Siemens made us part of the organization for the innovation part, where we can go forward and work here in that direction. That empowers us also to do more in development, to get quicker here, and to be able to help customers to build their applications. The strategic partnership with SAP helps us here a lot. And additionally, if we are looking in, we have today more than 235,000 applications created on our customer side. This is just an overview about that, what we are doing today with Mendix as a Siemens company. If you want to have more, let me know. Here are my contact details, or you see my contact card here as well. And additionally, if you are interested in an individual presentation, send me an email. The best would be if you send it today, and we can offer you an experience day for up to 4 or 5 people, where we say, okay, we make online, show you the platform, explain you how that is working, and if you have a project, let us know, and we help you to go forward here. I want now to give Mark the possibility to explain how he has used our platform at ABN AMRO. And I'm very proud to take that over because he's a customer. They use quite a lot of our platform and knowledge here, but he can explain that much better. And Mark, it's now your platform.
Dankjewel, Stefan. Can you please confirm that you hear me? I see something in the chat about audio problems. Good. So let me get started. Hello, good morning. And thank you for having me here to talk about one of my hobbies, low-code development on the Mendix platform. So let me introduce myself. My name is Mark Bas. And as Stefan mentioned, I've been part of the ABN AMRO organization for a very long time. I work at the IT organization of ABN AMRO Bank, and in particular the part of IT that most companies will call their CTO or their Chief Technology Office. It's our responsibility to provide IT services to other IT teams in our organization. So my area of responsibility is within a department that provides application development platforms to DevOps teams, who then use those platforms to create value for our customers. So we use Mendix as one of those platforms, but we also have a dedicated robotics process automation platform, a BPM platform, a platform for interactive web forms, and Mendix is an application platform that we use for rapid application development. So formally, I'm responsible for the rapid application development capability in our IT portfolio, and this includes Mendix. So it's my responsibility to develop and realize a vision on rapid application development for ABN AMRO Bank, and to prioritize the work of a central team that manages this platform for our organization. But before I speak about Mendix, I would like to briefly introduce our bank. So ABN AMRO Bank is one of the leading banks in the Netherlands, and besides a presence in the Netherlands, we also have a presence in Belgium, France, and Germany, and the UK. Our focus is on the Northwest European region. In Germany, you may know our private banking daughter, Beckman Bank. And besides private banking, we focus on retail banking in the Netherlands, commercial banking, and corporate and institutional banking. And to support our customers with international activities, we also have branch offices in other countries, both inside and outside Europe. So we are with just over 19,000 employees worldwide. And actually our workforce has been growing recently. And that's mainly due to the investments that we're doing in the detecting financial crime area, client due diligence areas. Our bank strategy is based on our purpose, banking for better for generations to come, and it's aimed to build a better bank fit for the future, a bank that's able to adapt to rapidly changing environments, and we want to be a personal bank in a digital age. And this is where it becomes interesting, I think, because now we get to talk about my passion, rapid application development. So we are now together in a webinar that is aimed at banking. At least that's what I assume, because this webinar is organized by a organization that calls itself a banking club, right? So we have a lot in common in this session, because most of us are working for or with a bank or a financial institution. So I also hope that most of you recognize that as a bank we have a big responsibility, a responsibility in the financial system, the economy, and society in general. And I also don't think we have to go very far back in time to see what happens when banks are not able to meet their responsibilities anymore. I think this also explains why the banking industry is one of the most regulated industries. And if you take the newcomers and fintechs out of the equation, most banks, and that certainly applies to ABN AMRO Bank, have always made choices on how they develop software with this huge responsibility in the back of our minds. So traditionally, we tend to focus on developing reliable, stable, and secure systems. And this is, in our case, the reason that to this very day, we still run our core banking systems, such as our payment engine, on bare metal in our own data centers. But at the same time, we are not that different from other organizations. We also have a need to build and deploy software fast. And if your IT department doesn't organize this for you, then business users will find ways to organize it for themselves. In our organization, this is how we ended up with a huge portfolio of end-user developed applications. Complex Excel sheets, MS Access application, Visual Basic, SharePoint applications. Our organization had a long-standing relationship with IBM, so we also have a lot of Lotus Notes applications that were developed in our organization. We had hundreds of them. And I think we were not unique in that. I think many of you might recognize this. And I dread to think how many banks represented in this session still have mission-critical processes that are floating on complex Excel sheets. Because if you don't have an explicit strategy on rapid application development, basically IT will get out of hand. Rogue IT or shadow IT is lurking, and you end up with a huge portfolio of applications supporting business processes that are not properly managed by an IT organization. And if that's not worse enough, I think Stefan also mentioned this in his presentation. Software is apparently eating the world. In my country, in the Netherlands, the so-called self-directiveness of customers is amongst the highest in the world. We have an excellent internet infrastructure, and our customers want to be able to do their banking business where they want and whenever they want. So we don't have a choice to become a digital bank. And I'm not even speaking about the competition that does not have to worry about legacy IT, the newcomers and the fintechs, who would be more than happy to take our business. Software is eating the world. The demand for digitalization outmatches the IT capacity that we can pitch against that by far. And when your IT organization is overwhelmed, you have to be very careful not to compromise the reliability, stability and security of your system. So this is a situation that we found ourselves in about 5-6 years ago. But luckily we have some enterprise architects in our organization, and some of them had subscriptions to Gartner and Forrester and the like. And Gartner published an article where they described basically that there's nothing wrong with having a traditional way of developing software in your organization. A mode of development that focuses on secure, stable and reliable systems. As long as you also have a second mode of software development available to your organization. A mode that is more focused on agile and rapid development. And they introduced the term bimodal IT. And whereas the mode 1 IT development is more the marathon runner, the mode 2 development is more the sprinter. And we already had mode 1 covered, and we started looking for a mode 2 way of software development, and we found that solution in low code. So what we did, we created a short list of low-code vendors, BettyBlocks, OutSystems, and Mendix. And we ended up selecting Mendix as our Mode 2 solution. So you probably want to know why we chose Mendix over the other suppliers. So first of all, we decided it had to be low-code, and all of these suppliers provide low-code or no-code. I think OutSystems is more profiling themselves as a no-code provider. And all of them were up there in the right top quadrant of the Gartner and Forrester Magic quadrants. Mendix was at that time already and still is widely recognized as a leader in the field of low-code. Also, this was also mentioned in Stefan's presentation. But that was not the decisive factor for us. For us, the decisive factor to go with Mendix was the fact that they support multiple ways of deploying your Mendix applications. So on one side of the spectrum, you can have that fully managed by Mendix and deploy your application on their cloud. And on the other end of the spectrum, you can deploy this on infrastructure that is fully managed by yourself, either being on-premise or in your own virtual private cloud. And as a bank, we tend to lean more to that end of the spectrum, where we can say that we are in full control of our own infrastructure. So basically what we looked for was a bring your own cloud scenario where we use Mendix, but we deploy on our own infrastructure that's fully managed by ourselves, by ABN AMRO Bank. And at that time, Mendix was really, and I believe they still are, the only low-code provider that has this wide range of deployment options that is being supported. And what Mendix also offered to us is, we're still a bank. We have strict risk policies. We work within the boundaries of our risk control framework. And with Mendix, we were able to set up good guardrails to allow teams in our organization to build applications rapidly, but within the boundaries of the policies that we have on information risk in our organization. Now, our journey started, I think, somewhere in 2016, and it was 2017 that we actually started implementing Mendix on in our organization, and it was not an easy journey for us. I think we were one of the front runners on our cloud. We had just, as a bank, decided that we wanted to adopt a cloud-first strategy. So we started realizing cloud infrastructure, and I think Mendix was one of the first significant workloads that landed on our private cloud. And that private cloud at that time was not really mature, so we didn't have all of the products and services available that we needed to run Mendix on our cloud. So, for example, we didn't have a container orchestrator, and Mendix applications are containerized applications that run in a Docker container. So basically, we ended up realizing some of these services specifically for the Mendix implementation. And also, this was quite early in our cloud journey. Our regulators were very interested in what we were doing. This was all new. And we, as an organization, decided to take some time to get all of the controls in place that were required to please our regulators. So we made a bit of a false start. We went live with our Mendix implementation in December 2017, but basically the whole year of 2018, we were not really creating any traction with the platform, and that was on one side due to the fact that the platform was not really mature, and we basically took a pause to get all of the controls in place that were required from a regulatory perspective. But the other reason was also that we initially focused on using Mendix to get rid of our legacy applications on Lotus Notes, MS Access, etc. And if you think about it, if you're rebuilding old applications on new technology, your first minimal viable product is always an application that has at least the same functionality as the application that you're replacing. So in Dutch, you have a saying that translates into don't throw away your old shoes before you have the new shoes on your feet. And that's also the case when you're replacing legacy applications. It can be a journey of months before you reach the first MVP and you have something that you can port to production. That's not really rapid application development, where you basically build up your application in short increments on your production environment. So altogether, we basically had some problems of being an early adopter. But towards 2019, 2020, our platform really started to create traction in our organization. We were being found by IT teams in our organization that recognized Mendix as a way of rapidly developing applications. So initially, we positioned Mendix only for employee-facing applications. And currently, we have 14 IT teams working on our platform, and they build applications for our Know Your Customer Center. So we have a portfolio of a number of applications that are being used in the customer acceptance and regulatory part of the organization, where they are being used as human workflows, tracking progress on client due diligence, for example. We have a couple of our operations departments using Mendix. Again, like human workflow applications. Our risk functions and our financial departments are using Mendix. And all of these use cases, of course, are a bit limited because we decided to position Mendix initially only for employee-facing applications. But we are also in the process of opening this up and widening the positioning of Mendix in our organization. Now, looking back at that whole journey, there are some lessons that we learned, and some lessons I also want to share with you. If you decide to start a low-code journey, if you decide to start a Mendix application, these are the things that if we had to do it again, we would either do differently or we would do things that prove successful the same way. I think the first point is when we started our Mendix journey, we didn't have that mature cloud platform on which it could land. If it had existed at that time, we would have used the Mendix for Private Cloud offering, where Mendix basically takes out of your hand a part of the management of the cloud infrastructure in a way that still meets the security standards of a bank. That offering didn't exist when we started with Mendix. It's now part of their standard offering. If we had to do it again, this is how I probably would have started with Mendix for Private Cloud until we had our own cloud platform with enough maturity and critical mass, and then we would take it back on our cloud. I think we would also have chosen a more conservative licensing model. We went all out with a full enterprise license at the start of the journey. But as you see in the curve, it took quite a while before we actually started creating traction. And then when we did create traction, it went very fast. But initially, I think we would have, if we had to do it again, start with a more conservative licensing model. And then when you reach the tipping point of having enough critical mass on your platform, switch it into a enterprise license, which then is more favorable for an organization. Things that worked well is we worked very closely with Mendix Expert Services. So that's the consultancy part of the Mendix organization, where they have consultants that have seen many Mendix implementations. And although those are not cheap services, they are very worthwhile because it saves you basically reinventing the wheel that's been invented by many other Mendix implementations. So I think that was part of the success at the start of our implementation, is that we worked with Mendix Expert Services. What I also highly recommend, and this is something that I don't think we did this right in the first place, but start your implementation with a specialized partner, a partner that knows Mendix and knows how to build on the Mendix platform. We didn't do that, and we're still paying the price for that because Mendix is low code. It's a lot faster. You can argue that's easier than traditional software development, but it's still software development. You still need skills in your organization to be able to develop low-code applications. And you can start building that a lot faster if you start with a partner that has those skills in-house, that has a mature low-code practice as part of their offering. So one of the questions I often get from Mendix is, can you please specify the value that you have created with our platform? And I find that a very difficult question. It's not difficult to say that we have created a lot of value, but it's difficult to translate it in hard euros. So this is what we saved, or this is what we realized. Our organization adopted Scrum Agile as a way of working, and that means that we moved away from the traditional business cases where you first have to present a business case and then get your resources and then start building. We have pre-funded teams in our organization with product owners who are basically tasked with the assignment of creating as much value as possible with those teams that are available to them. So that's one side of the coin. The other side is that if you look at value, I think the greatest value that we recognize is that you can build a lot faster on a low-code platform. Not only is it the way of working a lot faster, you also typically we have one, maybe two developers working on a Mendix application, and if you compare that to the traditional full stack development where we have full development teams, 5 to 9 developers in a Scrum team, then Mendix is a lot faster and requires a lot less resources. Bear in mind that we use Mendix as a mode 2 development mode. We still have mode 1, and we still have a need for full stack development team. So basically, the challenge that we have now is focusing the right use cases to the right way of software development. So, for example, we have created a positioning document in which we basically set some standards. When do you use Mendix? When do you use high code development? When do you use robotics process automation? When do you use business process management solutions? And that pretty much defines when a use case lands on either of these ways of software development. So coming to my last slide, we are actually expanding the positioning of Mendix in our application. I mentioned that until now we have focused Mendix on creating employee-facing applications only, so only applications that are being used by my colleagues at ABN AMRO Bank. But we're now opening up the platform also for public-facing applications. And basically, we are positioning Mendix as a solution that will sit in our digital e-commerce channels. And if you know something about e-commerce, this is a very dynamic world where basically we are trying to get customers in what we call a sales funnel, with the objective of getting as many customers to the end of that funnel, because the end of that funnel means a conversion or basically a sale of a product or a service. And in order to do that, we have online sales specialists and e-commerce colleagues in our organization who on a daily basis are looking at data, they're looking at web analytics, at clicking behavior of customers, and they see how fast customers are going through that sales funnel or where they break up their journey in that sales funnel, and they use that data to continuously improve the forms and the models that we are offering to our customers in our digital channels. And I think this dynamic world is a perfect match for low code. So we are currently preparing our Mendix platform to receive web forms so that we can use those web forms in our e-commerce channels. And while doing that, we are also slowly starting to open up the platform for citizen development. We still have a big trauma in our organization when it comes to end user development. I mentioned the hundreds of applications that we had at one time, but we're now slowly starting to open up citizen development or business people who are in a co-creation with IT developing their own solutions, because we feel that low code is one of the answers to the software is eating the world problem, but also expanding your say digitalization force by allowing not only pro developers but also business people to work on your platform is another answer to that problem. So this concludes my presentation. I see some interaction already in the chat. For now, I want to thank you a lot for your attention and listening to something I'm quite passionate about. Looking at the clock, I think there is still some time for interaction, so I'm very much looking forward to that.
Okay, thank you very much for this great insight into the digital development at ABN AMRO and the possibilities of low-code through Mendix. If there are any questions, then use the chat on the right side. I see 2 questions already. There's coming a third question. You can also give your question via your telephone. If you use your keypad on your phone and press the star following by the 1, star and then 1, we can get your question on the telephone, but you can also use the chat. I see one first question from Arthur Romain from BMW Group in Munich. what other banking software is supported by Mendix?
Yeah, maybe I take that. Stefan Koch here. So I think in general you can connect to all software areas where you have an adapter or a connection possibility too. So what we do is to give you the possibility to use adapters which exist already, or if you say we have a coding here in a form of a REST service or in form of a Java applet, you can put that in, for example, as a servlet or a mini plugin where you say we want to adapt that, and that is possible on our platform. If you have any special cases, let us know and we can discuss that separately.
Okay, then the second question coming from Vienna, David Dasher, are chatbots with RPA and knowledge graph technology to connect many data sources and data-driven dialogues of any interest?
Yeah, so I think I can answer this one because I think this question came up during my presentation. So this, of course, is a very specific question on if you want to use chatbots and RPA in your organization. The way we use it at ABN AMRO Bank, we have multiple low-code platforms in our IT portfolio. And we also have an ambition to achieve hyper-automation. And our hyper-automation is a business-driven approach of speeding up your digitalization using low-code platforms together with cognitive services. So if you talk about data-driven approach, we use solutions like process mining and process discovery to basically identify digitalization potential, and then we use low-code platforms to aim that at that potential. But I'm not sure if this is the exact question, David. So maybe you can elaborate a bit more. So yeah, is it of any interest? That really depends on your use case, I think, as an organization.
Okay, and there's a second question from Austria, from Romeo Weber. How do you ensure quality in your Mendix applications? E2E testing, ATS, ANI testing, and other kind of testing?
Yeah, so we basically follow the Mendix recommended test approach, where they basically use the ISO standard for data software quality as a guideline for how you would approach quality of your Mendix applications. So one very important principle is agile testing or risk-based testing. So upfront, even before you start building, think about the areas that are important for your testing framework. So if you're building a small application for 5 users, then maybe you don't want to heavily invest in performance and endurance testing. But if you're building an application that's used by thousands of users in your organization, then that probably deserves a lot of attention. So it's an agile and risk-based testing approach. And then we also apply the shift left principle. So try to look at data quality and quality of applications as early as possible in the development process. And Mendix is a visual tool, so you can quite easily show what you're doing to a user of application just by sharing your screen and showing, for example, a domain model or a microflow, the logic that you're building, or a screen, and your end user will be able to provide you with feedback on that because it's recognizable information for them. Then for unit testing, we use a unit test module that's provided through the Mendix App Store. I think it's even called Unit Test Module or something like that. fully supported by Mendix, and it allows you to create unit tests, in particular on the logic that you're creating in the Mendix application. We also use tooling like Postman and Newman for the more integration testing as part of the unit test phase. And then if you move more further down the development process, we use indeed ATS, the application test suite that was developed by Clever, specifically for Mendix to do functional testing. So in our organization, Mendix are always browser-based applications. And ATS, it uses Selenium as an underlying technology, which allows you to do browser-based testing. And then besides that, we also have a test tooling for performance testing. At the moment, we use Apache JMeter for performance testing. And there is also available application quality monitoring, which is specifically developed for Mendix by a Mendix partner called the Software Improvement Group. And that allows you to basically look at the maintainability of your application. So it will scan your application model and it looks, for example, at duplicate codes or anti-patterns in your application, and it will provide you feedback in the dashboard, which you can use to improve your Mendix applications. So testing is very important, even if you're building on low code. But then again, it's completely different if you compare it to how you test high code solutions.
Okay, thank you. And we travel to Zurich. Simon Schäfer asked, how do you suggest to prevent another citizen development trauma, shadow IT trauma?
Yeah, our solution at the moment is just close down all possibilities of end-user development. So, for example, next to Mendix, we also work a lot with Microsoft products. We have a strategic partnership with Microsoft, and we're one of their premium customers. With Microsoft, you'll have, for example, the Power Platform. But the Power Platform, in our opinion, has some flaws when it comes to governance and control. So the way we approach it is that we first close it down, and then we slowly open it up in a controlled way. And that's also how we do it with Mendix. So we started out with our Mendix implementation only allowing IT development teams to build on the platform. And we're now slowly moving to enabling citizen development. And in the end, our policies dictate that all software development and even complex configuration needs to be IT managed. So the way we are approaching citizen development is that it will always be a co-creation between a business party and an IT party. And again, if you look at the analysts, the Gartners and Forresters in the world, they speak about concepts like hybrid teams or fusion teams consisting of both business and IT. I strongly believe in citizen development, but it's a scary thing in a organization that is as heavily regulated as we are as banks.
Okay, and now we have a question from Berliner Volksbank in Berlin. Aga Oxitz asked, how have you ensured compliance requirements, documentation of code, for example?
Yeah, so low code is actually not coding. In the end, Mendix will produce code, and that's your working application. The way we cover documentation, of course, there are many more compliance requirements, but the way we cover documentation is that we use a feature in Mendix. First of all, Mendix is a visual tool, so something that I built, if I follow the Mendix coding best practices, would be very recognizable for somebody else who has Mendix experience. So a domain model and microflows and even screens are recognizable. It's very easy to just look at a screen and to understand with what the developer tried to achieve with what he was doing. That's completely different if you compare it to high code. Mendix has a feature to add annotations to your microflows, for example, where you can add text to explain what the purpose of your development is, and that's something that is actually a best practice promoted by Mendix, and something that we also follow in our organization. There are many other checks and controls that are driven by compliance or regulatory requirements, for example, on data retention, what you can and what you cannot do on applications that you're building. But those are more covered by internal policies and creating awareness of those policies in our IT teams.
Okay, maybe a last question, because we are a little bit overdrawn and the first participants leave the webinar. But there's another question of Simon Schaefer. Are you able to share some experience on using Mendix Data Hub?
No, I can give a very short answer to that. No, because we're not using Data Hub. We have an enterprise-wide integration platform, internal API gateways and other integration layers that we use to connect applications to the data in our organization. So we have chosen not to use Data Hub. Also, Data Hub was, I think, introduced after we already started with our Mendix implementation. So unfortunately, I am not able to share any experience on using the Mendix Data Hub.
Stefan Koch, do you want to give some information to that?
I think the Data Hub is something where you can access data here as well. But I think if you want to have here more information, we should, go to us here. We have just put in the chat also the possibility how you can contact us or how you can get deeper information. And I think that is something which we can explain much better in a direct contact.
Okay, I think so. Okay, then once again, thank you very much for your presentation. And thank to Mendix for this Webinar hier today for Low-Code. Ich wechsle jetzt mal auf Deutsch. Die ersten sind schon weg, leider, weil ich denke, keiner nimmt sich mehr als eine Stunde Zeit für ein Webinar, was wir mit 45, 50 Minuten ankündigen. So sage ich auch nochmal in Deutsch. Vielen lieben Dank fürs Zuhören. Vielen lieben Dank an Mendix. Und Sie bekommen auf jeden Fall von uns eine Feedback-Mail nach dem Webinar. Da stehen auch nochmal die Daten drin, die Kontaktdaten der Referenten und wie Sie an weitere Informationen, auch die Präsentation kommen. Tatsächlich gibt es noch ein weiteres Webinar in der nächsten Woche, auch nochmal ein sehr spannendes Thema zum Thema Multifaktor-Authentifizierung mit auch da einem Kunden, nämlich der Six Group in der Schweiz, die das vorstellen, wie sie das eingesetzt haben, um die Passwortsicherheit deutlichst zu erhöhen. Sehr spannendes Webinar noch in der nächsten Woche. Und dann bleibt mir, wenn Sie daran nicht teilnehmen, weil das wird dann tatsächlich unser letztes Event sein, Ihnen schöne Weihnachtstage zu wünschen, einen guten Rutsch und hoffentlich die Möglichkeit, uns nächstes Jahr auch mal wieder live zu sehen. Wir haben ja dieses Jahr ein paar Kongresse gemacht. Nächstes Jahr werden wir ab April auch wieder in unsere Kongresswelt einsteigen. Alles steht auf unserer Webseite. Würde mich freuen, Sie dann auch wieder mal bei einem unserer Events live zu begrüßen. Also nochmal vielen Dank, eine gute Restwoche. Tschüss hier aus Köln.